live.
Oh, just like that.
Just like that. 30 seconds is never long enough. That's what she said.
It totally went through my head, but I'm like, I don't know if I can say
I
that.
figured, I was like, well, let's just say it. It's okay. Okay. So, welcome to Journeying to the Otherworld with the beautiful and lovely Taya Kennedy. So, I will let me just say right now, we're streaming on both our channels. So, wherever you guys are watching, thank you. Taya has been so fantastic. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus right out of the gate. So I wanted to collaborate. Taya came up with this lovely idea, and it's kind of based off this book, which we'll get into. And my life is just crazy, and I basically became Casper the ghost.
Well, you didn't. We were like in touch. It's not like you
We were
just
in touch,
disappeared.
but life kept getting in the way. But we're here now. Finally, it's happened.
Woo! Let's go. So, first of all, how did we even end up on this topic of otherworldly flight? Do you remember?
I don't actually. I really don't.
So, basically, last fall we had said, oh, we should do something together, da 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 da. And then I think it was a wine and witchcraft, yeah. And you were, because you were live, so I'm pretty sure it was wine and witchcraft, and you were talking. And you were talking about like, oh, it'd be really cool to learn. Like I really want to do like otherworldly flight, and like people are always talking about it, but I'm not really like, I don't have all the details down. And I was like, message me, because one of my goals for this year was to really delve into otherworldly flight. Like I can do it with, what do you call it? Like guided meditations, that kind of thing. But I wanted to get more free flowing with it. And so I was like, oh, then we were like, yeah, we'll do a little project on it and have some fun.
And you were so fantastic. She came up with a whole outline.
I'm so type A. I'm like, here's the schedule.
Here's the schedule. This is what we're going to do. And I'm so grateful she did, because I'm not like that. I'm more, woo, fly by the seat of your pants type. So thank God for you.
So yeah, so before we get into it, do we want to just talk a little bit about what is otherworldly flight? What are we talking about?
Yes, please enlighten the viewers.
So otherworldly flight can be things like flying out, hedge crossing, astral projecting, some people call it. There's all sorts of different words for it, but basically it's entering into like a deep trance state, either with like a guided meditation, a path working, somebody talking you through it, or eventually learning to do it on your own and creating sort of this otherworldly experience where you can go and journey to the other world, and you can meet up with spirits, and you can meet up with all kinds of creatures and entities there. You can meet up with other witches. All kinds of interesting things can sort of happen. And so, yeah, we were like, let's play with it.
I'm super excited, because this is something that, I mean, I am not mastered. I need to put in a lot more time in, which I'm glad we're doing this. But it's something that, okay, for a while I thought was kind of foo-foo. And then watching some videos on it, and then hearing you talk about it, and then people like in the audience of Wine and Witchcraft, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not foo-foo. Maybe it's not too good to be true. Maybe there's something to it. So a lesson can be learned here.
I think there's something to it. So basically we sat down and said, all right, we want to do this. And we put together a plan, which was maybe a smidge ambitious.
Maybe a bit.
Because I did the plan. So the plan was, okay, so hold up. We were working with, well, two books. We have The Witch's Sabbath by Keldon, which has got tons of great information on the Witch's Sabbath and otherworldly flight, and lots of great exercises. And then we were also looking at 6 Ways by Aidan Wachter, which is very succinct. It's like, here you go. This is what you do, which I really, really love this book.
Yeah. I like the writing style here. It's just straight to the point. There's no bullshit. Like, this is what you do and move on. I like that.
Long chapters are 3 pages.
Yeah.
So it's super like just tick, 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 tick. So we thought, yeah, we'll go ahead and we will play with his methods. And so he kind of starts you off with like, let's like work with meditation, right? Just that idea of relaxing and letting go of your mind, achieving a light trance state, maybe like he talks about 3 levels of trance state,
Right.
getting kind of a first or second level of trance state through this kind of, what would you call it, Justin? Like there's like a countdown, right? You like relax all the way up your body.
Yeah, it's kind of like a countdown going into releasing everything, which honestly with his, so his steps with like the countdown and all of that, I thought was pretty normal. Don't you feel
like
pretty basic, like, straightforward? Yeah.
Standard meditative stuff.
Yeah.
And blood, sweat, steel. Is there something that can happen by accident, like just zoning out while you're doing something repetitive? Absolutely. Like,
that's the only part of this that I have mastered.
Is the unintentional.
The unintentional flight.
So we were like, okay, let's work with this. And we were like, okay, he recommends do it every day for 30 days and see how you feel. So we're like, sweet, we'll do it every day for 30 days. And then we'll go live and talk about it. So now it's April.
When were we supposed to start? January.
Yeah, we were going to go live at the end of January and be like, look how amazing we are. Obviously.
And here I am in April.
Now, in your defense, Justin, I was like super gung-ho. I'm going to do this every day. I did, out of 31 days in January, I did 12. So I didn't even hit this. And I was super like, I'm going to do this. I had an alarm set for every day. I don't work. So like I've got all freaking day. And I still like, I hit 12 days. Now I do feel like over the course of those weeks, I felt like my abilities were getting better. My technique was getting better. I was learning a lot by doing what I was doing. And I definitely feel like way more comfortable with like even meditate. I was like not a meditating girl. I got the ADHD brain. It never stops. Ding, ding, ding,
See,
ding, ding, ding.
That's my thing. It feels like if I'm not like goal oriented when it comes to any sort of like mind work or meditative work, that it's very hard for me to like stay on task, because I
meditate just
hear
for
voices.
The sake of meditating.
Yes. No, who has the time?
Which is really what that first 30 days is, right? It's just meditate for the sake of meditating. And he was like, start doing 5 minutes a day and work your way up to 20 minutes a day. And you could split it into 2 10-minute segments, but like do a max of 20 minutes a day. I did work up to 20 minutes, but anyways, before we get into all of the like the results and the technicalities and I want to talk a little bit about like, we know what the plan was.
Yes.
And now it's April. So why didn't the plan work? Or why has it taken us so long to sort of put this together?
I mean, for me personally, I thought a couple of different things.
Alvine says, gentle start.
Yeah, just a little gentle moment. Just a baby lamb learning to walk. Nothing special here. So there was a couple things. One, slightly intimidated because, not going into it thinking it was foo-foo work, because I mean, originally I did, but then I was wanting to do it even more because I started hearing voices and was seeing like this arch with a bell and like that whole thing. So it's like, I should like embrace this. But, working 2 jobs, my wife has a lot of ailments. It kind of was one of those things where it wasn't a conscious decision, but it was almost like, I don't have time for that right now.
Life.
Like, I'm not going to make time. Yeah, life just getting in the way. And it's like, I just can't. And then it's, it's work. Like you came out with an outline, which is what it is. And you got to put in the work to reap the benefits. So.
But life, right? And this is where I've talked about this before. The real work of witchcraft is scheduling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
it's really easy to read all the stuff and be like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to do this, right? I mean, and honestly, Justin, you had a lot of life come up, which is totally understandable. I did not have life come up. I'm just over here in my own little world, and like literally nothing happened in January that like necessitated like my energies needed to go somewhere else. Like it literally was just, I mean, I remember there's a couple days where I'm like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just tired of it. I don't want to do it today. Like having a little temper tantrum. And other days where, yeah, you know what, I was kind of busy. I mean, I could have scheduled it in, but it's like, well, I always do it at 1:00. And well, now I'm out like helping my mom run errands. So
right.
I missed 1:00. No, I could have done it at 7.
But no, I missed my appointment. It's just
I missed the appointment. Like, guess I'll have to do it tomorrow. Like, sometimes I'm not the most flexible in my thinking, but like that's what I find is the biggest like work of witchcraft is figuring out when to do it.
Yeah, it has to be a time that, for me, I don't know. Like I've never been the type of person that has ever like said, okay, I'm going to make time to do this today for 15 minutes. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to meditate. That's just not really been my thing. Usually when I want to meditate or like, and I don't even know why I do
like meditate.
Meditate.
Like, yes, that's what you're supposed to be doing. No air quotes. That's the thing.
When I'm supposed to be meditating, I'm drinking beer now. This is my meditation. No, you know, I've always like been goal oriented. Like I'm going to go meditate so that I could try to hear the voices, hear the bell, move towards that. Or I'm going to do that and communicate with the ancestors, or I'm going to do that to commune with Hecate. But like we were talking in the green room, but to do it just for the sake of trying to hone in that skill, my brain is like a little mouse running around. Like I was telling you, like, did I leave the X-ray machine on? Did I set the alarm when I left the office? Oh God, I got to get up earlier tomorrow because Penelope has music practice. Like all these things. It's like, oh, get out of my head.
I think you also need to share the location of your endeavors.
Okay, so here's the thing. I do have ADD.
I think that might have played a little part in it.
I do have ADD. So I do want to say, like Chris was saying, I do have these periods where I just wander off, but I was trying to do it in my car. Not the best place. Okay, I will grant you that.
Sitting in his car trying to meditate in some random parking lot.
I'm just like in my parking lot at work.
Like somebody's knocking on the window. Are you okay? Excuse me, are you okay in there?
We do have a homeless problem, so there's that. I know. So I don't know. I mean, I need to dedicate more time to honing in the skill. It's just my brain just will not shut off.
I had that problem, but I solved it.
Oh God, what'd you do?
I tried a lot of things. Because, okay, so they talk about doing box breathing, right? So it's like 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out, 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out. And then once that gets comfortable, it's 4 breaths in, hold for 4 counts, 4 breaths out, hold for 4 counts, in, hold, out, hold, like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. But then I'm like so focused on like counting the breath that I'm like, I can't like, and then, you know, you sort of start, you know, kind of getting a little trancy, and then I'd lose count, and then I'd get upset because now I don't know, am I supposed to be inhaling or exhaling?
Yes.
And what breath am I on? And
I get it. That was just what I was experiencing too. The numbers.
Like, okay, I got my mala beads out, right? Kind of like a rosary, but mala. And I'm like, okay, so for each like set in or out, whatever, I'll just move 1 bead. But then that got really distracting because I couldn't remember if I moved the bead or not. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not working. So then I kind of got into, for a bit there, I was like, okay, I'm going to try rocking, right? Because some people do. They like...
I do that with Hecate.
Yeah, they kind of sit and rock and stuff, right? And... then I was like just grooving out, and I'm like, okay, no, this is not relaxing. Like I got like way way too into it. I'm like shaking the bed. I'm like rocking. I'm like, nope, okay, this is not working.
Like you're Pentecostal, just like.
Literally, like I was gonna start speaking in tongues. Like it was like, no, this is not working. So I figured out that like I need to be still. But I need to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
I would like hold the breath and then I'd forget when I'm supposed to like get to the count of 4 and then I'd just be holding the breath and I'm like, okay. And then also I'm like, so I found online the best thing ever, a metronome. And I set it to like just tick, 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 tick. And then every 4 tick, it does like a different sound kind of. So when I hear that sound, I know I've got to like breathe in or breathe out or whatever.
Okay.
Changed the game for me. That changed the game. None of the other stuff was working. It was all requiring too much. Like it required me manipulating or me remembering. It does all the counting for me. And I just know when I hear the odd tick, so I can count along with it, or I can kind of space out a little bit. And I just know when I hear the odd tick, I've got to do the next breath. So that like change, you know what, Dylan, just go on your app and search metronome. There's a ton of free ones.
No, I'll pass.
10-day silent Vipassana retreat. Oh my Lord.
If you're feeling a little masochistic your meditation, I'll pass. I don't want to get that kinky in my meditation. Thank you.
So the only thing I'm playing with now with the metronome is it never turns off. Like it just keeps going. And I'm like, oh, like that doesn't really, like eventually I'd like to just kind of wean off and just like be off in la la land, right? Which doesn't happen. But what I found was when I started using the metronome, I went from like, okay, so what I was doing, I'm so dumb. I'd put in earplugs to start. This is at the beginning before I found the metronome, and I put in earplugs and then I'd set the alarm on my phone for like 5 minutes or however long we're supposed to go for, right? Put my phone down and I'm like doing the breathing and I'm doing the breathing and I'm like, wow, this is taking forever, and I'm doing the breathing and I'm doing the breathing. And eventually I'm like, the hell? And I look at my phone. I've been going for like 12 minutes because the alarm went off and I didn't hear it because I had earplugs in.
Oh my God.
So I had to go away from the earplugs. And yeah, so where was I going? I don't know. See, like squirrel brain. But I did find it where I would get like the 20 minutes would go by so fast.
In no time.
Yeah. And because I'm not having to think about anything but listening for the tick. So I have something to focus on, but not so detailed where it's like, okay, move my fingers and then remember to breathe in and then remember to like, do you know what I mean? Literally just hear the tick and breathe. Hear the tick and breathe.
So that's the thing like we were talking about. Like if I'm doing a guided meditation, I can get in that state and I can visualize, but after that, it's like it just falls right out. It must just for me be a mental thing because I'm able to do it when I don't feel like I'm putting feeling pressure on myself to do it. Like when I hear the ringing or I want to hear it, I can do it. When I try to commune with deity, it's not a problem. So there's some sort of mental block that I must be creating for myself.
I honestly think, like, I know for myself, I could not do this, like, in my car.
Yeah.
I don't think that your brain, like, just as a safety mechanism is going to let you go that deep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you're in a place and like a little part of you is like, well, somebody might walk by or like, la, 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 right? That's kind of always there. So that might not help. I know for me, I have to be laying down. A lot of people do it like sitting up. I just find sitting up, what happens is that my back gets tired and then I'm all slouched over and then I'm like, oh, this is awkward. Like I have to be lying down. So like, you got to play with it a bit. And I'm sure you'll find, because I seriously was like, I can't do this. This is like,
well, and that's the thing, like the zoning out thing, I have no problem with. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm like, it must be a specific thing. Like when you're talking about positioning, which he talks about in the book, I'm trying to remember. So when I'm hearing the voices or I'm concentrating on that, it doesn't matter. Like it'll just come to me out of nowhere. And then I try to just, do my breathing, relax here. And that can be anywhere, sitting at the kitchen table, on the couch, wherever. But really thinking about my communal time with Hecate, I am always laying down. So maybe I'll try that instead. Maybe I'll try to do the same steps that I do when I commune with her, but apply it kind of differently. I may try to rework that a little bit now that we're talking about it and see if maybe I'll be more successful that way.
Yeah. And we had also talked too about moving on to the next stage, which is actually having some kind of destination, not just trancing out, right? Not just like, oh, I'm so relaxed, this is great. Like sometimes that's kind of hard because you need something for your brain to think on. Yes,
yeah, I do.
I'll find yes.
And that was the original excitement for this, is for the voices, the craziness of it all.
Yeah, like maybe like when you feel that coming on, that's a good time to sit and just be like, okay, let's just get into that trance-like state and see what comes through. And yes, what you said about beanbag Hegwig in the hot water.
Yeah, she had told me that before. So this has nothing to do with it, but I always have this trigger with trying to get in a bathtub because I used to be so fat. So even though I'm not as fat, I'm so scared I'm going to try to get in the bath and like it's not going to work. So I just try to steer clear. But she has told me that before, and I do just need to try that out.
Do you know what I used to do? Is we have like a jacuzzi tub in our basement, so I fill it right up to the top. So like sitting in it, the water's like up almost to my shoulders if I'm leaning back. And then I'd like lay back on my head and I'd lift my butt up off the bottom. So only like my heels and my head are touching and you kind of float up in the water. And it's almost like being a little bit of sensory deprivation because you don't have, your body's just floating. It doesn't have like any sort of sensory input. So, and I think some other people had mentioned about like repetitive, like I think somebody said knitting or like just anything that's kind of like sanding something, like crafty things, but that you can kind of get into like a meditative mode doing that. But yeah, sometimes the results of what you're doing aren't so great.
I know. And before I was like, well, maybe I'll do the rosary because I don't know do the whole rosary often, but I was like, maybe I'll do that. But then when I tried to do that twice, I didn't grow up Catholic, so I'm still like learning how to pray the rosary. So then I'm like tripping up and it's like, I'm trying to read and it's like, okay. And then I'm very much the type of person where if I mess up in the middle, it's all fucked up now. Yeah. So now I got to start over. And then I'm just like, I'm lazy. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it.
That's what I was like with the beads, right? Because I'm like, oh, did I go? And it's like, who freaking cares, right? Just here's the next bead.
It's just you
marking your movements. But yeah, I got like weirdly obsessive about it has to be done right. And yeah, that's why I like the metronome. Just take it right off the table. Okay, so where was I going with this? Any other difficulties with the techniques did we have?
I don't, for me, it's just staying concentrated and making a designated time to do it. I think I did only 4 actually. I attempted more, but I think only 4 times really qualify. And those were the times when I actually made the time to do it. And with everything that's so my life being so kind of chaotic right now, I have a hard time. My original plan was to get up early in the morning, earlier, so I could give myself like 20 to 30 minutes. I could get up, come in, have my space. Everybody's still asleep. So, nobody's asking for anything. Nobody needs anything. Everyone's asleep. And so the first few times it was fine. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And, I would do the breathing and everything's fine. I would have a couple intrusive thoughts, but I could do like 10, 15 minutes. But then it got to the point where it's like the alarm goes off and I just want to sleep. So it's like the snooze, the snooze, the snooze. And then after you snoozed, like 7, 8 days in a row, then it's like just delete the alarm.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Oh, you just reminded me. That's why I had such a hard time in January. My husband works seasonal. He's a welder.
Uh-huh.
And they shut down after Christmas. And he was home in January. I cannot do meditative stuff when my husband's at home because every time he's like, knock, knock, knock. What are you doing in there? Are you doing witch stuff in there? What are you doing in there? And I'm like, forget it.
That's how I feel. Nobody wants anything. The spouse doesn't want anything. The kids don't need anything until you're about to do something. And then everyone needs you for something. Go here. Can you help me do that? What's for dinner? Can you help me with my homework? I mean, you've been home for hours. We were sitting on the TVs. You got sitting by the TV. I was doing work. You could have asked me, no, you want to wait until I'm trying to, bring out the elephant tongue or whatever. And now it's a whole fucking problem.
Well, the best part is I'm always just like, what did you want? He's like, oh, I just didn't know where you were.
Where do you think
that big?
There's only so many places that can be.
I just didn't know where you were, so I was just checking out. It's like, oh my God, go play video games and leave me alone.
Right.
Okay, witch's rosary. I see you guys talking about that.
I don't know anything about a witch's rosary, though.
But now I want to know.
Now I want to know. Witch stuff, yes.
The universe is testing you.
Well, and I think Owlvine was saying earlier, most people do this type of thing and talk about the end result, not the process through. Yes. And I think, that was the main part of doing these lives. And there'll be more to follow, is actually going through the process so you guys can hear the difficulties and the ridiculousness.
Oh my God, you guys, it's like so amazing. Just get a metronome. It'll be fine.
Everything's perfect.
Let me tell you how perfectly zen my life is now because I meditate 20 minutes every day.
Correct. I've been to hell and back. I've slept with the devil. I've been to Italy. Oh my God, the Eiffel Tower is amazing.
But right, it's true. People do. They talk about the end result, but they don't talk about all the work that went in to get there.
Right, and all the difficulties.
Me, this is like the witch work, is doing all this other stuff that doesn't work and having to I'm really proud of myself. I found a way to meditate. Years. I've been trying for years, but obviously not trying that hard, but trying for years until it was no, I need to figure this out because I said to Justin that I would, and I did.
She is. She will have that service up on her website by the time this live ends.
Totally. No, but I had to play with a ton of stuff and oh my gosh, one of the first times. So I have Apple AirPods and they have noise canceling. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I'll wear those and just leave them on the noise canceling. And I was totally doing great. And then it was new notification from Facebook. And I'm like, boo!
Right.
The Siri app is reading me my notifications while I'm trying to meditate. And I'm like, oh snap, that's not gonna work. Right? So I'm like, okay, we'll go to earplugs, but then I can't hear the alarm. So that didn't work. And it was it did. It took a lot of futzing. Yeah.
I have heard white noise.
I want to try brown noise.
What?
There's all the different noises. Brown noise is almost like rainstorm noise.
I've never heard the term brown noise before, ever.
Yeah, there's green noise, pink noise, brown noise. Yeah, look it up. Look it up on
Oh my God, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now I'm gonna have to do a deep dive when this is over. I've never heard of that before.
So that's something else that we can play with, right? Is or we could play with binaural beats. Binaural beats.
Yeah. Yes. I'm writing down white noise.
Right. So there's lots of different things that we can play with, or you can play with to help you figure it out. Because I gotta say, I feel I'm the other day, I'm okay, we're gonna do this live. I mean, I did all the meditating and stuff in January, and I'm like, oh well, we're gonna do this in April. I haven't done anything since January. It's not I kept it up over the intervening months. I'm like, okay, we'll go live and then I'll move on to the next part, right? But I was like, oh, I better make an effort here to at least try it a couple times before we go live, just in case I've lost the method. And it worked. I was like, okay, it, 20 minutes was fine. I got into a good trance state. I felt really comfortable, and I'm like, I could stay there and maintain it. So that was good. So I think
Well,
once
that
you
is
find your
beautiful.
way, Justin, it'll click for you,
Yes. Well, I'm just gonna have to put in the time and make the time to actually do it and
It
find the
took me
method that works for
12
me.
times. 12 times.
12 times.
Yes. All right. So, how do you feel about the practice now? Are you feeling like you want to keep working with it?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I wish I would have done what I need, like that I would have made the time for it to do
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
So I am excited. I do, like I was telling myself going into this, like this is the mark of accountability. I am going to do what I want, what I need to do, what I want to do.
It's like we're going to go
Uh,
live and tell everybody that I didn't do it. So now I really have to do it.
so now I really have to do it. I only got 4 things in, and then I was rocking in my car like I had some sort of mental disease. So I have to get my shit together here. Um, because I do, like I went into this with good intentions and reasonings for wanting to do it. So a couple of things are clearing up here within the next 2 weeks, which is I'm very excited about, which will, open some time in my life, which
Well, and to be fair, Justin, sometimes other things have to take priority. And I think the
I
stuff
mean,
that
it's
came up
true.
with you, it had to take priority. So it's not like you didn't do it right. Like, do you know what I mean? Family stuff comes up, you have to be there. You can't just be like, oh, sorry, I've got to meditate. Drive yourself. Call a freaking cab already. I'm gonna
Call
go
a cab. Fuck, I have to
right. Like,
meditate.
no, that's not what we do, right? So
It's
I
true,
mean,
but I
give
just
yourself a bit of
hate
grace.
I hate committing to something and then not being able to, follow through in the way that I like to follow through.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Like, I'm
But
just gonna jump out the window.
one at a time, right? You'll see us all again in about 7 to 8 months, okay?
Right, with episode 2.
So I think what we need to do is figure out what we want to do next. So you need to keep playing and see what you can figure out. But I also am wondering if it might help you to have like the destination in mind, right? As opposed to just sit and meditate and empty your mind.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so the next ones that Aidan Wachter talked about, if I'm not mistaken, were the world tree.
Yes.
So like getting into that meditative state and then actually planting yourself in the earth and letting your legs become the world tree, and sort of up from your head becomes like the branches and the leaves. Your feet are like in the underworld, your branches are in the overworld, and you're the trunk, which is in the middle world here. And like feeling, right, he was saying like you can kind of like send messages down to your roots if you want
Correct.
from the ancestors. You can send
Yeah.
messages up your branches if you want answers from like higher power. So that might be a good one to play with. He
I think it
also,
would be a fantastic one to play with, honestly.
yeah, and he also has the other one about, I think he calls it the Watchtower.
I didn't I don't know how I felt about that one, but yes, I do know what you're talking about, the Watchtower.
I like that one. So you basically, just for those of you who don't know, you as you like you reach your deep trance state and you kind of like internally awaken in the other world, and either you're the tree or you can awaken and you sort of stand in front of like a stone door. You go through and you're in like a small room, and to your right are 9 steps going down, and to your left are 9 steps going up. And you can at the end of either sort of little stairway, there's a small workroom, a small altar room that can look however you want it to look. He gives some examples, I think, of what his look like. But the idea is if you ever want to go to the other world and perform magic there, you would then have this altar where you could go down, again, accessing the underworld, or go up, accessing the overworld or the upper worlds. And you can do like your kind of magical workings and stuff. Yeah, Dylan, from
Yes.
Ways by Aidan Wachter. So what I did when I was originally working with this stuff a couple years ago, I kind of played with it a little bit. In my mind, I have a world tree that is like huge, like almost flat, like it's so big as a house. And then you go into the tree, and inside the tree, there's a little winding stairway down or a winding stairway up. And so the
like
tree
the
almost,
Keebler elves.
yeah, so the tree becomes like your watchtower, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of all integrated into one, is how I kind of have always pictured it.
I don't know, I think part of my issue is I always I don't know. I really just believe it's more mental than it is factual. But whenever I start seeing it or trying to create it, I not even create it, but when I start seeing it, I start questioning whether I'm actually seeing it or whether I'm creating it. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But in my head, it's like I get stuck in that spiral of, is it happening or am I just thinking it's happening?
Yeah.
It's that Virgo analytical mind where I'm like, I need to just let go of the understanding of it and just let it be.
Yes.
I got to figure out how to just let it be.
And I think what sometimes people expect is like this, that I'm going to be there and it's going to be so, like, you still feel your body lying in the bed, right? Like, it's not like you're going to lose all sensation and you're going to put your hands out and you're going to feel stone under your hands. Now, you can visualize that, right? But it's more like visualization than it is like I've stepped into a 3D movie, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times people kind of get that hang up where they're like, I mean, and I'm saying this not because I'm some expert. This is what was told to me when I was like Justin going, but am I just imagining it all? And they're like, well, yes, but you're manifesting it, right? Like when you're visualizing it, you're creating that in the other world. And yeah, stop overthinking it.
That's my problem with everything, though.
Well, but yes. You can set yourself little things like, okay, I'm going to open the door and I don't know what's going to be, like, what animal is going to be inside the room. And you open the door.
Because you know what? It's a rhinoceros. It's a rhinoceros. Yeah. You know, it's funny because when this is not for this, but before I was doing, guided meditations, and it'd be like, you're walking through a field. There's a hill above you. You can see 3 moons in the sky. And over the hill, you see something coming. What is it? And in my head, like, I'm there, right? It's like 20 minutes in. It's this whole elaborate thing, walking by a creek, and the moons are gazing on your face, the whole thing. And I'm in it. I'm sold. And then it's like, what is coming over the hill? I'm like, maybe it's a woman, maybe it's a child, maybe it's a centaur. I don't know. What is that? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's Elsa from Frozen. I don't know. And then it's like gone. It's over. Like I start like, I don't know. Nothing's there.
What you need to just go with your whatever first pops into your mind. It's a chicken. Okay, it's a chicken. Like, go with it. You know what I mean?
The chicken from Moana.
I told you my story about doing the guided meditation to find like your spirit animal. And everybody's like, it's a cheetah. It's like, oh, it's all these lovely exotic animals, and I'm like, mine was a rhinoceros. I'm like, it's a rhinoceros. What the fuck? But then when I looked up what does rhinoceros mean, it was perfect for that place in my life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like you kind of just, I got something in my eye. You just go with your first, whatever that first inkling that pops into your head. That's usually, just don't overthink it.
Maybe it's a platypus. But yeah, I'm identifying a couple hurdles that I need that I need to get over.
Sorry, where was this comment? Because it was really, really good. Rose said, there's a fine line between imagination and reality. Play is honestly the best approach to it.
Play.
I don't think I have the like highlighted thing that you do. But
If
yeah,
you
that Rose said
okay.
that. And I'm like, that's it. Like, dude, play with it. Have some fun with it, right?
Yeah, I just feel so this unnecessary pressure that like if I'm trying to think about what it is, it should just show it to me. But then when something appears, I'm like, again, it's that same thing. And is that just what is popping into my head? Because
You know what?
am I seeing a possum because I hit one earlier? Like I don't know what the correlation is here.
But now that you say that, you know what? I know what I think it is. You're waiting to see it. Sometimes you don't see it first, you think it first.
That's yeah. But am
Right?
I
You're
supposed
like,
to think or
what
am I
is it?
supposed to
Is it
see
a
it?
woman? It's a woman. Do you know what I mean? You're like, what is it?
Yes.
Is it a woman? Yeah. And over it comes and it's a woman. Do you know what I mean? And then that's what you visualize. Instead of waiting for an image to materialize that wasn't one you thought of. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and that's what I'm waiting for. And then it's like when I see it, no, I'm making it that, and maybe it's not that. Maybe if I'm getting the wrong message? I don't know. So yeah, okay, I gotta
Just
gotta
that
stop that.
that might help, right? Just go with that first thought in
I
your
think
brain.
that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing like with the watchtower thing. It's like uh all these ADD thoughts come to my head like okay, so when I did it once, I still don't think I did it right. Okay, I don't think I did it right. I just think I was imagining it. That's just me, and maybe that's right. I don't know, but I literally opened the door and I'm like, why is the window there? It doesn't make any sense. I don't like this. I don't like the way it looks, and I don't know. I there's so
Then you
much.
have a choice. You can go, the window is there because that's where the window is, and I need to like
I
learn something
know.
from that. Or you could go, I'm gonna move that window, and in your brain, move it somewhere else.
Move it. It just must it must be I'm thinking through this process as we're talking, and I think
Yeah.
maybe it's manifesting in this way of there's a lot of things going on in my life that I can't control. So maybe in these situations I'm trying to be too overbearing. Like I'm trying to control every aspect instead of
Mhm.
just letting it go.
Yeah, and that is something with like otherworldly travel is like some of it has to be structured. Like I'm going to go, I'm going to see, a watchtower. Like honestly, I picture that watchtower in my head. I visualize it in my head before I ever go into trance. Like I already know what I'm going to see when I get there for the most part. But I might open up the door and there's a chicken sitting in the corner. And that's where it's like, "Oh, brain, you threw me a chicken. What's going on?" Right? Like, oh, wait, the window's on the ceiling. Okay, something's going
What
on
is
here.
going on here? Right. It's a house of fun.
Beanbag Hagway says, open the window.
That's
Open it.
true. And
Maybe see
jump
what's on
out
the other
now.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan says a lot of people struggle of letting go. And it is a fine line between imagination and actually having it happen. And I think a lot of us tend to be really overly analytical and go, oh, no, that was just me imagining that. But that's kind of a lot of what otherworldly travel is right. It's your brain creating these experiences for you.
Right.
And what explained to me was you'll know that it's really happening when things happen that you didn't think, okay, I'm going to walk in the room and the window's going to be on the left. And then you walk in and the window's on the left. You're like, I'm going to go in the room. And then you went, oh, that's a weird place for a window. So you didn't put it there. So how did the window end up there?
That's fair. Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying
Right?
now. Yeah.
Because you didn't go, okay, I'm going to put the window on the ceiling and then walk in and go, well, that's weird. Why is the window on the ceiling? In your mind,
Oh,
you're
right.
going to be somewhere logical. And then you walk in and it's not logical. That's how
Right.
you know
That
it's
it's
totally working.
happening. Yeah, it's working. It's just so much work.
Well, honestly, Justin, I think you have this a little bit more than you're giving yourself credit for.
I feel like I think it's because I don't know. I feel like it's supposed to be more grandiose. So maybe maybe that's a part of it. I don't know.
I know for a long time I sort of had this feeling that like, yeah, it was supposed to be so immersive, so all immersive. And I was like, oh, but I can still feel my toes. Like,
Yeah.
thing is,
I
you
mean, not
can't. You're still tethered to your body in this world. You can still feel
Trish,
it.
lower your expectations. Well, and that's the thing, like, so the most kind of like transformative experience I had was I did this ritual when I when I dedicated myself to Hecate, and it was this one of the very few times like I did a whole actual ritual, like ceremonial style thing, and it was magical and mind foggy, and I felt like I could see through my ceiling and like see the planets. And that was like one grand kind of experience. Now that was like over a year or two ago. And I wasn't like intoxicated or high or anything. It just kind of was.
No, that sounds
And
amazing.
it was amazing. And I haven't had really an experience like that since. Like when I communicate with, like when I commune with her, I always do the same thing. I lay on the floor, I have some words and some like things that I like ritually say, but kind of the way that it happens is the same almost every time. Like she always walks around the room, like I see her in my mind walking around the room. I can hear in my mind her voice.
Is she actually physically there walking around the room, or are you like in some level visualizing that?
I'm visualizing it.
Then it becomes a reality, right?
Yeah, true.
And I think like it sounds like you have had some very legitimate otherworldly travel experiences that were more spontaneous.
Yes.
And I think that going back now and trying to recreate that purposefully is gonna take like it's gonna take some time to catch up.
Yeah.
Right? Like cut yourself some slack. You'll get there, right?
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
Where somebody said that. Oh, geez. Comments. I can't keep up with comments. Jack said, the first impression, I attribute the first impression criticism of the otherworld as a learned response because we're taught to disregard childish imagination and behavior at a certain point in our lives. And that's so true, right?
That is
it's
so
not
true.
Real. You know, you've got your imaginary friend isn't real. I'm sorry. They were very real to me.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, I think so that idea that like, oh, well, I'm just sort of imagining it makes it less valid, but it's not. That's kind of.
And it's interesting that I equate that to purposeful meditation or purposefully trying to travel, but I don't kind of put in that sort of mental structure when it comes to deity. And I wonder if that's because of society. I don't know. There could possibly be a lot to unpack, like mentally, why I categorize them the way I do.
Yeah, but we're supposed to. We've been conditioned to, yes, you can have those sorts of experiences,
right?
With deity, but not just on your own.
Just not, yeah.
Some higher power, some higher.
Right, because if it's a higher power, then it's a holy thing. It's. Yeah, and if it's not, then you're just crazy.
Well, you come from a religious background, right?
I do.
So maybe
yeah.
there's a little bit of conditioning in there.
Yeah. It's like the only two things that I haven't never questioned is my interactions with Hecate and the bell and the voices. Mm-hmm. But the bell and the voices don't feel like that's different too, but it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's not the same as the Hecate thing.
Yeah, but I get it because of the bell and the voices. You're not making that up. You're not sitting here going, I will now hear a bell, and then a bell rings, and you're like, right. Oh, it comes to you spontaneously, right?
Yes.
And even your experiences with Hecate are like the same thing. You're kind of setting it up, but it also sort of spontaneously taking over and becoming
right
more. And I think that your otherworldly journeying experiences can become that immersive
Uh-huh.
But it's going to take practice to get there. Like, it's not going to just instantly happen that way.
Right. I'm gonna
And
have to
I know for me, a big part of it is like imagining it before I do it. Like, so I do
so
have
you
kind
go
of
into it knowing what you're gonna see, and then okay.
like I have an outline, right? Like we have an outline tonight of here's all the points we're going to talk
Right.
about. Now, some of them we missed or skipped, and some of them we didn't do in the right order, but we've kind of hit the highlights. It's kind of, I think, the same thing when you're going to the other world. You've kind of got the highlights mapped out, right? I'm going to like, it's always the same for me. I go, I see my like my familiar spirit is there.
Mm-hmm.
And she is my companion, my protector, my guide, and my ride. And so, like some people, when they're in the other world, they can fly, they can do things. It's my familiar spirit who transports me around. And then I know that she'll be there, and I know that there's going to be this big tree in the middle, and I know I can enter the tree and go up or down. And I know, like, this little structure when I first enter is always there. And then there's this little underworld cavern where I have my little hideout. I don't know what you would call it, but like over a bunch of different experiences, I've cobbled this together. So I know that's always there for me when I go.
That's beautiful though.
Yeah. And but a lot of this is stuff that like one of them, the little underworldly place, my child self lives there. And that's where I go to take care of her. I haven't done it in a really, really long time, but it's like an underground cavern. There's a stream that runs through it. There's a fire, there's a hammock, and she lives there. And it was work I did with actually a hypnotherapist that I worked with when I was pregnant with my son. So this would be, he's 13 now. So this would be like 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And she would have me walk down this set of stairs, and it was always the same, right? It was always like the same meditation that she did with me. And now it was funny because when I went to the other world, that was just there for me.
Waiting.
Yeah.
That's
it was
beautiful.
already there. And so, you know what I mean? It like, but it wasn't something that I had created specifically to be in the other world, but
right.
It translated over, right?
So I have a lot of barrier breaking to do besides just setting time aside.
Yeah. And I think you also need to just give yourself some credit for the work that you have done. And like, it sounds to me like you can totally do this. And you have done this.
I have. And that's, I was talking to Brittany about it, and she's like, I don't understand what your problem is. Like, you shared your experiences with me before. Yeah. So you can do this. And I was like, well, how come I'm not? Like, but I am someone who is a pro at putting out walls. So that is one skill I have mastered, unfortunately.
Well, and you're also very good at like kind of undercutting yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, well, I'm probably just making it up in my head. It's like,
yeah,
no, you're not. That's what it is, right? Like, and I think the more you do it and you accept like that thought that pops into your head is being provided to you. It's not coming from you. It's being provided to you. I think you'll, right? If you can kind of work through that and see that. I know for me, that was a huge breakthrough to go, oh, you mean when chicken just pops into my head? That wasn't me thinking chicken. That was somebody telling me chicken.
Well, and you know what I was thinking? I was thinking when I this month working through this again, have you ever recorded yourself? Not like with a camera, but like with audio, and just talk yourself through it and listen. I was thinking about doing that. Maybe me, talking myself through it would be helpful. I don't know. I think I may try that.
Well, I was going to say, like, and you're on YouTube, so you know the sound of your own voice. Because I know it can be kind of jarring for people to hear their own, be like, oh my God, that's what I sound like. You watch yourself on video, right?
Right.
You have to go and edit all your videos and stuff. So you know what you sound like. So yeah, I would say I've totally done that. Like I know for my my RTA school, my Red Thread Academy school, every Sabbath, there's a guided meditation that you do, a pathworking meditation. And it's just written out. So that's what I do. I have them all on my phone and I read them onto my phone. And that was another thing I was thinking about doing for the like not so much the like the travel part, but the getting into the trance state part.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, create your own guided meditation. Yeah,
Right.
it's like, you know, oh, oh, my dog is running. Sorry. It's the like wiggle your toes, wiggle your ankles, wiggle your calves, wiggle your knees, wiggle your like all the way up and all the way down. And like he's
Right.
got some really I really like his wording. And then he does like your head is heavy and sinking and your shoulders are
Right.
heavy and sinking. But when you're trying to remember that yourself, it's very distracting. And so yeah, maybe
Yeah.
having that, even that part, just to get like into that sort of, and I find once I'm in that trance state, I can kind of pop out and put on a different meditation and then go right back into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
So where are we going next? What do we want to focus on next?
Doing the work. No, I guess being more gentle with myself and, feeling the validity that I have accomplished something, maybe not in this situation, but in my life with otherworldly travel.
Yeah.
And for me, I really want to focus on not necessarily a schedule, but maybe a goal, like April, 12, or, just a number. And also I want to try to implement some of these things like recording myself. And I also want to actively try to break down some of these barriers so that it will come more freely and kind of just allow it to happen, not be so analytical.
Yeah.
I think if I can let these barriers go, it will come more easily because I don't hold the barriers to, like the other things I was talking about. So I think if I can just let these walls down, it will come easier for me.
And I think the more you practice it, the easier it will get.
Right.
Like.
Yeah. Repetition.
Yeah. Like, after somebody said to me, like, stop overthinking it. It's just whatever pops into your head. That's the thing. And it still took a few times to be like, okay, like to trust that, right? That
right.
I'm not just being silly going like, right? You're like, I see a lovely woman walking over the edge and I'm like, right. I see a chicken, right? Or like, it's like, no,
well, maybe,
that's legit.
And with you saying that, I think if I feel silly, I just need to embrace like, okay, maybe I'm just silly. Maybe I'm just silly. Maybe it is make believe. Who cares? Let me just let me just accept whatever I think it is and just see what happens.
Yeah, maybe it's silly, but let's see what the lady brings, right?
Right, let's see. So that's for me, that's where I want to go. How about you?
Same thing. I would like to get back into actually practicing meditation more, maybe not daily, but more consistently.
Not daily. Not daily. Right?
I just don't think that's ever going to be my thing.
Yeah.
But like, right, more consistently, like just have a goal of so many times per week I'd like to do it. It's all about the chickens. It's all about
the chickens.
Chickens and rhinoceroses. That's you're doing it right. And then I would like to start playing with his one about like you become the world tree, or you go and you have the 2 altar spaces. Like I'd like to actually like put something in those rooms, And yeah, Alvine says, yeah, you're allowed to create there and play with it, right? And I'd like to do that, is play with it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and then the question I have about that is, so like, if you create that space and you personalize that space, if it gets complicated, like, do you just innately remember it, or? Okay.
Yeah, I think you would.
See, I'm already doing it now. Stop. I'm already doing it right now. Stop. Okay, keep going.
Right? I'm like, okay, so you're gonna, like, I don't know, you're one below. You're gonna walk in, and I think in his, he's like in the center of the room. There's like a raised kind of altar, right? To me, I see it as like the wood actually grows up and becomes the thing. What do we mean by the other world? Does it need to be the same, or is it, it's different for everybody?
Yeah.
It's absolutely different. I mean, like Justin and I could do exactly the same path working and it won't look the same.
Well, for me.
And you could do the same path working yourself and it could look different the second time. Like it's always a little.
For me, just innately with the watchtower thing, The first thing I thought of when I read that, well, and even before I read it, you were telling me about the Watchtower. The first thing I thought of in my head was Willow. Have you ever seen that movie, Willow?
Oh, dude, like so long ago.
But the tower that like
don't remember.
Bagmorda or wherever,
Yeah.
you know, where she tries to kill Erzaline and like all them, that was the first thing I thought of. It was like, because I had just watched it recently and then there was a TV show, so it was like in my head in the past couple months. So yeah, I was like, whatever.
No, I mean that's legit, because you know what? There's different like ways to get to the other world, right? Sometimes it's like you visualize yourself coming up and there's a big hedge and you have to like jump over the hedge or jump over the fence, or
Right.
for me, I usually just wake up and I'm there. I cannot do a jumping the hedge one. It doesn't work. I just can't. Like, and I think because I can't fly in real life, I have a really hard time imagining that I can fly.
I see what you're
fly
saying.
in the other world. So
Yeah.
what I finally did was I created a portal, a shimmering portal in the hedge that I could pass through. And do you know what it is? It's a Minecraft Netherworld portal.
Well,
I play a lot of Minecraft. I have a 13-year-old boy. And you know what? It freaking works. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have a Minecraft portal in the middle of my other world.
Speaking of portals, you are the one. It was you about the bell, wasn't it? The bell in the arch that were like, why aren't you going through it? Wasn't that you? So for those of you who don't know, I started hearing voices.
Like, go through it.
Yes. So I started hearing voices like in the distance, like conversations. So I had talked about on One of Witchcraft. I talked to Taya about it. And it will come to me just randomly. It hasn't happened anytime recently, probably because my life is so chaotic, I'm not listening. But anytime it will just happen. So I kind of just close my eyes and listen. My friends think I'm crazy. I don't really care. But I will hear a bell and I will start to see this arch, and it has a bell hanging in the center. The bell is ringing. You can hear the bell ringing, but it's not actually moving. Like it's not ringing. And it's like in a dark, foggy area. And on the other side, I know the voices are over there. So I was telling Taya, I keep going around the arch, you know, and I pass the bell and I can hear the bell behind me getting further away.
Side of
right. And then when I try to revisualize, the bell's behind me and I keep like I can't get to it. And so Tay was like, well, have you thought about walking through the arch? And I was like, no, actually I haven't.
The arch.
I was like, I mean, you don't walk under a ladder. I mean, no, there's just a weird arch with a bell. Like, what the fuck is that even about? Like, I'm going to go around it. Maybe I need to go through it, but I haven't had the opportunities. But when that happens, I am going to go through that arch. And if you don't ever hear from me again, I'm lost.
I do that when I walk my dog at this one park, and there's a place where the path goes along and then it splits in two and then comes back together. And where it splits in two, there's two trees in the center of the path, one and then two. And I always have imagined that there's a portal between these two trees. And I like step into it and I'm like in my mind, like picturing it just like in Minecraft where the whole world's going like this. And I'm like, okay, if I can just get deep enough into it, eventually I'm going to step out and I'll be not in the nether. I'll be in like the land of Elfame and nobody will ever, like, you know, and then it'll be 3 minutes and then like I'll come back. You've been missing for 3 years. Where have you been?
Right. Like manifest.
I love the Mists of Avalon.
Me too. I remember watching that. I mean, I know I've seen it, but I don't remember anything, but now I'm going to have to watch it to see which is the arch and the bell in there. It's probably some subconscious creation of mine, but yeah. Oh, the Mist of Avalon. I would just love to be the Lady of the Lake.
I never watched it, but I read the book.
Oh God. It's so good.
So good. I cried. It was just such a good book.
Have you ever read the Woods Between the Worlds or whatever? It's the same author.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah. No.
But see, that's just it, right? Like everybody will have their own version of what a portal
Witchy class for right?
Totally.
I'm literally picturing the magic school bus right now. It's all just hopping on, going on.
I'll be Mrs. Frizzle.
All right, just here we go, class.
Driving everybody through the thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a pretty good plan forward.
We do. And we will have another live in May. It's going to happen. Even if it's a repeat episode, it's going to happen.
So life. And then Justin overthought it. And Tay just didn't do it.
Oh, God.
What's a nematon?
I have a nematon in my mind. What is a nematon?
I don't know, but I want one.
Oh, Starlight, what is a nematon? Anybody? What is a nematon? I'm going to start Googling it. She's not taking. Come on, don't leave us hanging.
Code and you gotta like type it all out.
It's like, damn, he's talking. Okay. Oh,
I think that she like dropped a comment and ran.
Right? She's like, okay, there you go. I'm out. Well, we're glad you guys are enjoying it. Because I don't feel like anybody talks about the difficulties and the trials and tribulations of it.
The real work, right? Like,
yeah, you're getting the real deal here. There's no sugarcoating, no make-believe here. It's just the mess of it all.
Excuses we've got, right? I didn't feel like it, so I didn't do it.
Which excuse would you like? I got a pocket full of them.
Okay, I have to go find out what a nematon is.
I know. I'm like, okay, let me drink. Let me do something. Twiddle my thumbs. Yeah. What is a nematon? Nematon.
Let's Google this shit. All right.
We're going to learn about this live on air.
Please don't be something dirty. Please don't be something dirty. It's a sacred space of the ancient Celtic religion. Nemata appear to have been primarily situated in natural areas, and they often utilize trees. They are often interpreted as sacred groves.
Huh. She literally just she just put it. It's a sacred place, usually a grove. Oh,
that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
That's actually very. That's pretty. I like that.
Yeah, so it's almost like she's got like a starting place in her mind where I go here, and then from there
I can go.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm gonna write that down. I mean, at this point, I need to try anything and everything. Smash my head against the wall. But I think that we've been going for about an hour. So it is streaming on both of our channels. Anytime we do this, just so you guys know, it'll be on both channels. And it looks like everybody's comments are showing up on one thing, which I'm so happy about that.
On mine, like Dylan was commenting on my stream, but it still shows up in our combined them all together. So that's good.
Thank God.
I know when technology works, how amazing.
I know. And the two of us together, it's lucky we were able to even get this figured out.
I'm like, I can't delete it. I don't know how to do that.
I know. I'm like, I accidentally deleted it. Hers didn't delete it. I'm like, you would think I don't own a live show. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. But no, I'm just, pissing in the wind here. I have no idea what's happening.
But that's just it. When technology works, it's amazing. Like, think about it, Justin. You're in Florida. I'm in Canada, up in Alberta. We're like we're an 8-hour plane ride away from each other, but yet we can totally get to know each other and do stuff like this. And it's like as if you were my next door neighbor.
Yes, it's fantastic. Love it. So we will be doing this again, like I said, in May. We're going to do it. I'm going to get this done. I'm committed. But that's it. Did you have anything you wanted to? Yes, we're broadcasting to the world.
I love the world.
I think that's it.
International audience.
Right, the international audience.
Put that on your resume.
International broadcaster.
Top-rated content.
Right, exactly.
About like 16 viewers.
I know. Hello. Well, hello, Norway. Welcome to the
Norway.
live. We're about to end, but you can always watch the replay.
Yeah. Norway, Australia, US, Canada.
Covering all of our bases.
Yes, Catherine. That's what I want to get to at some point. I want to go and meet Justin in the other world.
Oh God, that would be amazing. But that's okay. No, I'm just gonna let that go. We gotta focus on the basics first.
The other Justin. Don't worry about it right now.
Right. That's the future Justin. Or the completely different one.
Yeah, we haven't booked the plane tickets yet. We'll get
Oh, right, exactly. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end the live, guys, and we will see you in the future.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.